3 million years from Earth, the Red Dwarf podcast thanks for the memory. Its crew, Blake Braswell, a USA native, and Lee Malaby, his English co-host. Additional. Having finished Series 8, I am hoping moving forward into Series 9! Oh, that was weird. Again, having finished Series 8, I hope Series 9! What the smeg? Having finished Series 8, I hope this next series is better than the previous two, because if it isn't, it could be like watching a tortoise flipped on its back. What is up, Smegheads, and welcome to Series 9 of Thanks for the Memory, a Red Dwarf podcast where we rewatch every episode of the BBC comedy show Red Dwarf and discuss them. I am Lee, and I am here with Blake. Hey, Blake.
I had no idea what you would remotely make of an additional for this one.
Me
and
either.
That was perfect.
It's been formulating in my brain throughout the course of the day of because it's... Look, this is, for all intents and purposes, this isn't Series 9.
No, I was going to say, technically, is it Series 10, since they say Series 9 happened off screen, except,
Now, I might be remembering this wrong, and I shouldn't, because I've watched this bloody episode, of this thing, 3 times at this point. I'm sure it's referenced that this takes place after Series 10, according to this episode.
Right, because 9's an episode we didn't see. Technically, it happened off screen, the stuff they talk about.
Very odd. It's very odd.
Yeah, and now that you're saying it, I wonder if I have more plot points that are going to mess with my head now.
All of it.
Yeah. Now I'm like, because I've caught plot holes before. And now you've made me write another note down when you say that. I'm like, oh yeah, this is odd. The way that this is... The way this is rolled out. This is a weird one, y'all. I don't know how to say it. This is just a weird one because it's not a normal show or normal series, because as is well written by Lee here, the episodes we are discussing today is /R, the only /first, second, and third episodes of Series 9 Back to Earth that originally aired on April 10th, 2009. And it wrote it that way because for you, now it did air on Dave in 3 episodes.
Yes.
But for you to stream it in the UK, it was only as one chunk.
So
right?
what I will say, as of right now, it is just 1 episode. But I think I explained it on the last episode that it's such a weird thing, the BBC iPlayer. So when something comes on, it has a definite end date, or at least Red Dwarf does, and then it gets renewed every however long. So it went off halfway through last year, and then a week or so later come back on. But prior to that sort of reintroduction, it was 3 separate episodes. It is now just one feature length, because it's an hour and 9 minutes, but one long episode. So it's so weird.
Yeah, and for me here, I did it through Apple TV, and it was separated in
strange, isn't it?
3 episodes. But I will say, we kind of went. A lot of times when we'll watch these, I won't really watch them back to back. I spread, we typically do 2 episodes. I mean,
yeah,
I will watch one and I don't stream them back to back until I'm doing sort of my subsequent viewings. But I like to kind of watch one and then give it a moment, and then even if it's just a day. But we were I guess just keep going, because it didn't feel like enough had happened.
No,
so what happened? I mean, This synopsis, I had a couple that I came trying to figure out how to put it concisely, but I think this probably works as well as anything. And I didn't know if we should break it up per part or just overall, but I think how you've done this is kind of a good overall. So Lister's busy day of annoying Rimmer is interrupted by the discovery of something in the ship's mile-deep water tank. Rimmer's replacement, Katerina, is determined to guide Lister back to a home planet. But Earth in 2009 is not everything the boys had expected, and Rimmer has no intention of being replaced. And that's kind of the first episode, is how it was broken down for me, because I know you are not aware of how it broke down.
No.
But for me... It is the show starts, obviously the same when yours does, And then where it ended was being sucked into the Doctor Who special
Portal.
effect from 1980 time warp.
And
whole thing.
Tracy had an issue with that portal, but we'll get there. There was some physics issues with them being sucked into there.
Yeah, you mean the one going the opposite direction?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny because my wife had some. It's funny, she hasn't seen the third episode yet as of recording this.
Okay.
They went out of town. She went out of town for the weekend, so we saw the first two, and so I finished watching it for this episode or for this episode of our podcast, and she made a comment, and of course you guys didn't deal with this because you saw it in one big sweep.
Yeah.
But when you do see it broken up like this, it changes how you view things. And I could see someone going, I don't want to keep watching this, because my wife's comment after watching the first two episodes was they came back yesterday or whatever. And she was like, oh, so she goes, you're recording with Lee tomorrow. So you went ahead and watched. I said, yeah, I watched the third one. She goes, well, I'm excited to hear it. I was like, well, yeah, you got to watch the third episode. So when you listen to this, to our stuff. But she goes, I hope you make a comment. Like, they still can't write for a woman, figure out how to write for a woman. So they just killed her off. And I was like, you know what? If you were watching this weekly as it came out, that is what you would think.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, that is a really bad flaw of doing this as a weekly 3-parter and hitting the beginning with Lister mourning over Kachansky. And it's just like, yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, you introduced some neat ideas with her in Series 7. In Series 8, she felt firmer in what she was doing, but she was just given girl jokes, for lack of a better term.
Basically,
I mean, while I think that period joke in Series 8 was a funny because of Crichton, but like that's the pinnacle of what she got.
Yes.
You know,
or
what
like
I mean?
the shower stuff. Yeah, she wasn't still given a lot
Yes.
to do.
No, and in Series 7, she was the badass. She took over the ship.
Yeah.
And like that completely went away. I think that's probably Lister always was kind of the leader, and Rimmer wanted to be. And the interesting thing would have been, and we may have said this prior about the last two series,
Probably.
would have been to let Kachansky be the leader, because
Yeah.
it actually started to be interesting, where she got in the cockpit and she was the leader, and he was now struggling like Rimmer was. Actually, God, now that I've said that out loud, that would be the more interesting thing, is to put him more in the Rimmer role now that Rimmer's
Yes.
gone. But anyway, I mean, they didn't do it. And, so from Kara's point of view, because she only watched the first two episodes, it's like, they just killed her off screen. And I was like, well, just watch the third one. We'll see what you think. But I mean, it's so weird to not have happened for 9 years, I believe it was.
Nearly 10.
You left Series 8 with such a cliffhanger. Rimmer is back. The dwarf is back. Rimmer's gone to a mirror universe, come back to the regular universe, and ostensibly dies. I mean, it's a fun, farcical thing. He, kicks death in the nards. To quote, what if Wolfman don't got nards? But how do you just not say anything?
Yeah, it's not. That was my biggest issue with this walking in.
And don't get me wrong, we had our, they did the same thing with Series 3, but that was so back in the day when serialized television wasn't what it was by 2009 when this came out, that it is odd to me, because also if you've waited 9 years and the way the story is, ostensibly this is for people who have nostalgia for Red Dwarf. It's literally almost what the episode's about. So to not give a nod to closure is kind of odd to me.
Very, especially when you consider that. So, I mean, we don't, as far as we're aware, at the end of Series 8, Lister, Kat, Crichton, and Kachansky all got off the ship, yeah?
Yeah, well, yeah, the soup machine or whatever says they went back in the mirror universe?
Oh, is that what?
I
can't even remember now.
I can't remember. Either they went in because it was falling apart, or they
Oh, that sounds right. Away. Yes, something like that.
I can't remember what it was.
So then, because the thing that I mean, straight away, I was like, the first thing I've wrote is you can see they got quite a huge budget, which in some parts looks really good, and then other parts, like CG Scutters, not so much.
I did do a little production digging, more so than I normally do with these, and that's only kind of true. Like, they did get some money, but if you notice, they didn't build sets. It's all green screen.
Oh, that's
for
true.
the most part.
Yeah, okay.
And they were like, CG had gotten so much cheaper, we could make, like you see Dave in the beginning walking down the hall and walking to a vending machine that looks like a PlayStation 2 cutscene. Maybe PS3.
Yeah,
like, we'll
okay.
give it some credit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it looks bigger budget compared to other Red Dwarf stuff, but for 2009.
But it isn't, yeah.
They were able to do more and cut corners, make the ship look bigger or whatever. But I find it, and I know I always say this every time I start to talk this way, and I do like to couch it. I understand that it is harder in the middle of a thing when there's a million problems you're facing creating something. So I'm not saying I'm smarter than any writers or creatives, but it's clearly very different. It's on Dave for the first time instead of the BBC. It looks different. The guys are older. We didn't explain Series 8.
Yeah, just to jump in a little bit there. So that Dave was originally part of the BBC. It used to be a channel called UK Gold, which was owned by the BBC and then rebranded twice after that to become Dave. So I'm not sure whether it still was a BBC channel at that point, but originally it was owned by the BBC.
And it showed old reruns of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And this was like the first time they were doing something new. And I'm guessing they were doing reruns of Red Dwarf was where that lived at the time.
I guess so. It was a long time ago.
I do have an idea that I'm not saying it's great, but like, why wouldn't you do this? So you didn't explain anything that just happened to everybody, in the remaining years. And I get, and actually, if you're going to have quote unquote killed Kachansky off, I would still reveal it the same way. Like, I don't know where she's at and you have Dave, that's fine. But in that opening bit where he gets with Rimmer and is talking with him and stuff, this whole 3-episode series is such a nod and wink to the audience of, hey, you're watching the Red Dwarf show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That why wouldn't it, why not just a simple, like, after all the, the stupid ironing through the snot sneezing strainer thing,
which wasn't funny.
Wasn't funny at all. And because it was so inexplicably wouldn't work that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But why not just be like, Lister, after all this time, you're still, like, it's trying to drive me crazy. The only way to keep you sane, really. And because they even say something about where Holly is, and he's like, he left the bath running and it destroyed the Holly computer. But and then just have Lister go, it's been a crazy year, and you have Rimmer be like, a crazy last few years. Oh, you mean besides the fact that you all somehow miraculously found Red Dwarf, and apparently you met me, and then you left me alone in a mirror universe, which I guess I died on that Red Dwarf when it exploded, only for a Devil to have been created where I showed up as Ace Rimmer, ready to be done with the whole thing, and like chucked the wig and like he could have actually done a funny version of that Star Wars scrawl that was in the beginning of Series 3, where it was like, this is what happened to Crichton,
but be able to read it.
And it just, because you can imagine Chris Berry doing that, just delivering it all like that's what would think was the last crazy 9 years, would have been, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, that's all we need, like, moving on.
I think it's that thing where, so the thing I'm going to reference is Robert Rodriguez's Grindhouse Planet Terror.
Yeah.
Where there's like that missing reel in the middle of the film when you just find out his backstory. And it's cool. It was clever and it was funny. I think they tried to do a similar thing with this, where it's like, what we're going to do is mess with your head, saying that there's an entire series that you guys haven't seen, and allude to bits and bobs of it throughout the course of this episode, these 3 episodes. And it'll be funny. The only problem is it's not.
No, it doesn't work. And I think the idea of Chris Berry rattling off the explanation of what's happening would be funny. Because the problem, too, is the biggest one is, why is Rimmer back? Why is it clearly Rimmer from the end of Series 7 and 6 and 7? And definitely not the one.
Because he's a hologram.
Because he died technically in the end of Series 8. So you could say,
well, we assume. Do we know that? We don't actually know that for definite.
Well, sure, but you could assume like, oh, maybe he died and came back to Holly, but he's not. This Rimmer is a prime Rimmer. You know what I mean? Like, it is the original Rimmer, just on like how everything's operating.
But would that is that how? So there's a question for you. Is that how it would work? If that Rimmer, so if the Rimmer that was brought back by the nanobots at the beginning of Series 8 died, would the hologram that they bring back be his original file, or that Rimmer from the nanobot Red Dwarf his hologram? That's an interesting question. Like, which one, I suppose, which one would they have on file at that point?
And also, what happened to the crew?
Oh, they're all dead. Well, yeah, because they all went on the lifeboats, didn't they? Like the life ships. Yeah, so technically they're still around somewhere.
So I don't usually do this. I'm going to pull something up. There's somewhere I saw a thing that it sort of explained what it was. Oh, we don't know we don't know. I guess, no, it's saying that we don't know how Rimmer is back, being basically Rimmer.
This is because we expect far more from these things than the writers actually do.
Well, but so here my argument would be, in a show that is so dedicated to, like, even the main conceit of the creature refers back to a popular series finale on series 5. So how long ago has that been for 2009, right? All the way back to series 5. Why wouldn't you close it? Or just, again, in Red Dwarf fashion, you can just say it. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to show it. No. If you want to start here, that's fine. Yep. But just say something. Or even cry to me, oh, so how do you possibly mean it's been a crazy year? You mean when so-and-so happened and this happened and that happened and this happened and that? You know,
yeah,
like,
it's...
You could see that.
Because at this point, you've got to assume that the fan base for Red Dwarf is big enough, because you've still got this TV channel to go out there and spend the money bringing a TV show back from 10 years previous to then not even... it's such a weird...
Because like, even just saying something like and then you remember the crazy year, and then Mr. Ace Rimmer came back, sir, and we had rescued Rimmer from the mirror universe, and he turned him into Ace Rimmer, and we got good old Rimmer back, and didn't that make everything better? I mean, like, what? I mean, as dumb as that, what I just said is, it
feels more like closure than it is just kind of alluding to the fact that this is a series that comes after a one that we haven't seen. Yeah.
I mean, and look, Series 7, I wasn't that happy with it, but like, basically that's what Lister did at the open of Series 7 to be like, Rimmer.
Yeah.
Getting attacked and killed by themselves, but because we did that, it had then erased them from existence as well. And then, it's best not to think about it too much. You know what? Actually, that's the perfect example. I guess that's kind of what I'm saying. I wish they had done, even just something like that, where.
But other than nothing at all. Nothing.
Right. But this attempt at a cold open in this really cold CGI place. So it's like cheap man's Mandalorian volume or whatever they film those, the Mandalorian, the volume or whatever that they do with those LED screens and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The whole, like, I'm going to sneeze through a strainer. And is this what you said made you nuts? Can I guess?
Go on.
The no laugh track?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I know,
rough.
I can't remember which series it was, but we've commented, or at least a couple of episodes where there was no laugh track, and I never noticed it, and you were like, oh, it felt weird. Or wasn't I think... Series
7, in America, I can only get the expanded version, which doesn't have the laugh track. Yours did.
Yes, that's why I haven't noticed it. Right, okay.
But we did say Series 7 felt different because they didn't film it in front of a live studio audience, so the laugh track was recorded
after.
Yeah, they weren't reacting to what was happening around them, kind of a thing.
But this is such a, I know you watched it as effectively 3. This is why our viewings are very different on this. Because I went in watching it as a movie, effectively. Because that's kind of what it was.
Yeah.
And we've seen many TV series over the years get turned into feature-length movies, and some work and some don't. And I feel like one... like Red Dwarf, where it leans very heavily on that sort of joke-based humour, and you're so used to having the laugh track. When it's not there, it's not like I need to be told when to laugh, but when it's not there, it just feels so weird.
Well, and it's another, you've had it for 8 series. It's another thing that reminds you this is not, Series 8. While yes, look, we thought it started strong and then it had its issues, but it did feel, because the live studio audience was back.
It felt like Red Dwarf.
It felt, and I think our biggest complaint was about Series 8 in the end was, man, you actually had all the ingredients to bake a really good pie, and for whatever reason, you just didn't. But it kind of all was there to be awesome, I think. Which I think that's why Series 7 doesn't make us as angry. It's some of the ingredients aren't there, and it was kind of like, all right, you're trying something different. Okay, okay, I'm not, but like 8 kind of gets annoying because you're like, man, you did have everything like there,
What I like about Series 8 though, Blake, is like we said, it felt like a bit of a soft reboot.
Yeah.
So it leaned on nostalgia. Like, remember all these things that you love from Red Dwarf for the past 7
Captain
series.
Hollister, it's this, it's that. Like, yeah.
There was a lot of
Holly's
references
back.
to, yes. This does it, but too much. It doesn't do anything new, really. It leans.
Right.
It wasn't till, like I said to Blake before we started recording, we actually got an email from a listener, Stephen Maxwell, today. And I wish I hadn't read it before we had this conversation because it's kind of skewed my overall view. Because he's made me look at it slightly different and go, do you know, you're kind of right with what you've said there. The things that I initially enjoyed about this episode, having read his email, I've changed my view of. But we'll leave that. He's right.
But are we going to read his email?
I think we'll read it at the end because I don't want to sway I don't want to sway your conversation too much because it's already swayed my view a little bit. But it made me look at the things that I was like, oh, I kind of like that, and I like that they've done that. He said things that I was like, oh yeah, you're right, actually. But we'll get there.
Well, the first episode for me again is about a hologram shows up, the cat. By the way, cat falling, I guess I should back up. I'll back up a second. This is rough. Lister goes to the grave of the people we've lost, and one of them is actually the actor that played Todd. No, what's the guy's name? The character's name?
Todd Hunter.
Todd Hunter, who actually I guess did pass, and that's why that's why you can see an older picture of him or whatever. Like that was my I did a little bit of research, but that's why he's that prominent picture that's next to Kachansky. And as far as Red Dwarf goes, I don't mind. I love a little Lister being sanguine for real. That's a thing I can get behind. But him going to the thing and seeing for those we've lost, and it's the crew ostensibly, and then it's Kachansky, and the idea of Dave dressing up in the garb from the Jane Austen novel, and then going and reading her the book is great. Except what you just said about this is all reminding people, hey, remember what you love about Red Dwarf? Lister knows who Jane Austen is.
Yes.
They did an episode where that costume came from.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be like Jane Austen, like, no, and he doesn't even deliver it like he's playing being
I know. Yeah.
I was like, you're trying to make a joke here, and I think it's better if he's just sad. If he just sits down and is like, I'm here to read you some Jane Austen. Because I'm guessing he's done it several times at this point.
Because he played that part really well there. Like, those tears looked genuine. He looked genuinely upset. Craig Charles acting in this, I actually thought he was really good. Like, so the earnest bits at the beginning and the end, I thought he was actually really, really good.
And he was in he was in a soap opera that was filming at the time, right?
Yes, it's part of this episode.
Oh, it's part of the plot, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Coronation Street. Is that the name of it, right?
He was on Coronation Street for quite a while. Yeah.
So you said it's nice, especially someone who on the other side of the pond only saw him be Lister. You're like, oh yeah, look at this dude. And that scene is fine, except like that Jane Austen joke
falls flat. Yeah,
it doesn't work. And then again, because it's in front of a green screen, Cat just falls from the ceiling. Like
it's funny though.
It's funny, but like that was weird. He was all like wet, and I found this. I mean, it does kind of read like a typical Red Dwarf episode, and I think you were kind of robbed of that feeling because you saw it as one, whereas this. For me, this episode was, there is something living in the water tank and a hologram has kicked on to replace Rimmer.
Yes.
That's like the plot. But for the life of me, and I've just watched these, Lee, why does she cut on?
Because she's basically, Rimmer's not doing his job.
Yeah, but what cut her on? Did something happen?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's explained. She just turns up out of nowhere.
Okay, because Kat explains it to Lister. Then he goes and they talk to the crew about it. See, that's terrible. Because it's nuts. She doesn't matter.
No. So she's and that's the only reason
And she's a member of the royal family. I saw. Did I catch that trivia?
I was just gonna ask you if you knew who she was. So, have you ever watched Peep Show?
Yeah.
So she was Big Suze in Peep Show.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Okay. How did I not? She looked familiar to me, but it's been years since I've seen Peep Show.
So she is Sophie Winkleman, who is Did you get a version of The Traitors over there, Blake?
I don't think so.
So we had I guess you want to call it a game show, like a reality, what's it called? Like reality TV thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like a reality TV game show thing where they put these people in like a castle, and some of them are traitors and some of them are I didn't watch it. Everyone was obsessed with it over here. And they had to like vote people out, and if the traitor got left at the end, then he won the money. Or it was, like I said, I never watched it, but people got obsessed with it. So Claudia Winkleman, who hosted that, is Sophie Winkleman's half sister. But Sophie Winkleman's married to Freddie Windsor, is it? Who's like obviously like a descendant of the Queen or whatever. Yeah.
What's funny is that I typed in Big Sue in the Peep Show, and I went, "Oh my God, I really." Like, I thought I recognized her, and then when I saw the trivia about her, I went, oh, maybe that's what it is. But I didn't realize she was Big Suze because, one, she was great in Peep Show.
Yes.
I love Peep Show.
Me too.
But she looks like a child in Peep Show, which is funny because it's 2009 when this is, but comparatively, she looks like a child, but David Mitchell looks like he's only 10 years younger.
Yeah, exactly.
like than he is now. Oh, that's awesome. Well, now that makes more sense. Well, and I will say, she is great.
Yeah.
In a different episode, I'd love her to be this character in a better episode.
And that's what I was going to say. The only reason that Rimmer is a hologram again and not explained is for the fact that she's there to replace him so we can have the joke later on of you said murdering a hologram. It was murder, you're killing a hologram was murder. And she went, no, killing hologram is fine. And it's like, okay, then bang. That's literally all it's there for.
Except if you're doing this for fans who have been playing along and you are hoping they remember things, well, they'll also remember that hard light holograms are nigh indestructible. And of course, I realize we will find out that this is not quite reality. So I love that she does like a bad Russian accent for her character. So I did write, this was the joke that made me laugh out loud. In my country, we have word for people like you. In my country, we have several. What a great way to put rated R language thoughts in your head without saying it. And it's a perfect line from Chris Berry. Like, it is such a classic Rimmer line. And I will say, much like you said, Craig Charles doing a good job in the scene around the tombstone. Chris Berry, weird without the laugh track, but he's trying, man. He's working all those angles. And and even Crichton, it's weird because it's like they're all there to play, but they don't have good stuff to play with.
That takes me into one of the notes that I wrote. So I felt, a lot of what we complained about in the last, probably the last series 8 more than anything, is that it felt like they had a ton of jokes that they wanted to do. And then, like, we've got the jokes, we'll figure out how to mix them all together to create an episode. Whereas I feel like they went into this with the premise for a story, because it is probably one of the most cohesive stories I feel that they've probably ever done, quite honestly, from start to finish.
Oh, sure. If the first 3-parter in 8 could have been broken down to 2 and been better for it, this one, in a better situation, the 3 does make sense.
I think it's a really well-written episode with, an homage to a film that I was never the biggest fan of. So there's probably a lot of references in there that I don't get because I've watched it all the way through once and I don't really like it. It used to be Tracy's favourite film. And I think Doug Naylor had the idea for the story first. Like, what if we brought it back and we did this meta thing where it's like, they're not actually who they are. They're TV characters in a series and like meta thing, and then wrapped around Blade Runner. And then the jokes came after, but he didn't quite figure the jokes out, how to fit them in.
That concept could have just been an episode. It's weird. I agree that on one hand, it's structured in a way that makes total sense to be a 3-parter. It also could have just been one adventure about dealing with this hologram that wants to replace him, a second one with whatever, and a third where this not despair squid, but a hope squid brings, do you know what I mean? Because the Blade Runner stuff really kicks in the
third part, yes.
Well,
no, I think, no, you're right.
Partially
it does. No,
into
I
the
agree.
second.
It does, but it really kicks into gear in that last sort of 20 minutes. You're right, it does.
It does still feel epic, and for me that was the third episode because so for my breakdown, the crew then arrives on Earth is the opening of the second episode.
Okay,
so that's where it starts, and then they decide that they need to go find the God. Where does that one end though? Because the next one starts with them. Does the second one end with Craig Charles, and then the third one is going to find the makeup artist and then the creator, or maybe the creator is the entirety of the third episode. See, that's terrible. It's already bleeding out of my brain on how it's cracked out. Oh, no, Craig Charles he's in the second episode.
Okay.
And so then they get to the creator in the third.
Okay.
Which visually even looks completely different, the third one.
Yes. Because somehow London's become like Blade Runner.
Right. And it is delightful that it's an 09, so it's all about DVDs and all this stuff. Yeah. I do love the joke about DVDs. They had these? I remember they did this whole thing and then found out something about them is bad. Yeah, it's not as good we have now, videos.
Yeah, it was because people never put them back in the box and 9 billion went missing over the 10-year period between this time and that time. So we just went back to videos because you can't lose a video.
And it's funny because in a lot of the old Red Dwarf episodes, they were using videos.
Yeah, they were triangular ones. We had triangular ones for the longest time, didn't we? I think was it series, which episode's Better Than Life?
Better Than Life.
Yeah, they got the stuff through the post, didn't they? They put the news on, and it was on a triangular video cassette.
And I think they even called it a tape still or something like that. Yeah.
Just going back over before we get into the next section, there was a funny joke where Rimmer's shouting, "There's something moving." Kat says, "Yeah, my bowels if you don't stop shouting." That made me laugh.
A classic one. Okay, wait, see that? Yeah, it's hard because I started to plow forward, but you're right. So they do this squid, and the reason I had a weird experience with this, by the way, was I told you I watched the first episode and I didn't care for it. And I remember that. And so I never made it to the second and third. Lee, I finished the first episode of this and I looked at Karen and went, I have no memory of this.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I said, I know what's about to happen. I know they're going to go to Earth in modern time, but I thought I only watched the first episode. So then we watched the second episode. She's like this. I'm like, no, I only remember bits of the third. But Lee, I swear.
You haven't. Yeah, you've told me you never saw the second or third one.
Yes, because I recognized the creator.
Weird.
So it was the weirdest. I don't know. Maybe I started the first and didn't like it and I skipped to the third and just was like, whatever. I don't know. But I distinctly remember the creator in his bathrobe and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so this was a weird experience because I kept waiting to remember things and I remembered the concepts, but like she was, well, you knew this girl was going to send them back to 2009. I was like, no, I remember they come back to Earth and there's going to be a Starbug car.
Yeah.
But I have no memory of that hologram lady at all. And when that started happening, I was like, wait, this is more like a normal episode.
Yeah.
Like, when does the Earth stuff happen? And I was very confused. And with the squid thing, I had no memory that it tied back to the despair squid.
Which was pretty cool, but also, again, we'll get into that a little later.
Yeah. But like when they're in the diving bell, so the cat had the good spot with the whole, if I keep moving around. But the part I didn't like was his you remember, I'm going to eat your little fishy. And then he escaped. And I was like, that was like a first series reference.
Yeah, that was in episode 3 though. That was right at the end of this. Because they asked
where did it come out of it?
Where did it come from? And Kat goes, oh, I brought her aboard. And they're like, why? He goes,
right.
I'm going to eat your little fishy because I like little fish.
Yeah.
And she's grown. Yeah.
And it said another bad throwaway to remember this, but not done.
Yeah.
Well.
Lent too much on.
The cat's diving bell suit, by the way.
Oh,
top-notch cat costume.
something that Tracy pointed out that I never realised. So it's like, oh, Kat, you need to come as well. And he's like, you've got 2 minutes. And he's like, oh, I need to get changed because I can't go in like this. And he's like, oh, well, you've got 2 minutes. He goes, give me 3, but don't wear lilac because we might clash. What colour's the squid?
Oh, the blood and everything is lilac, isn't
yes.
it? Too.
Which I thought was quite funny. Yeah, Tracy pointed that out. She's like, no one else wore lilac, but the squid's the same colour.
So then the question is, continuity-wise, we know when the despair squid hit them, when they start reacting in the Series 5 episode. But in this one, when does it
kick in? Yeah, that's an interesting point.
You know, like, when did it start? Was it the woo when it came out and it like looked like it turned into a yellow flash and flew away? I would assume that.
I guess so, yes.
Because at that point they assume, oh, okay, it's better. It's still odd that it's... So the old one was, it's despair because you're going to find out you've been living a fake life. And this one is, oh, you're living a fake life again. But it's a hope one. Wait, what?
But it's cleverly done because it never... Like you said, I'm like you. I think I've seen this... Maybe I watched it when it came out, and then I did a full rewatch when I think Series 12 came out in like 2017. So I've probably seen this episode twice. And so watching it this time round, it never occurred to me that what they were experiencing wasn't real. Even though we've done it so many times this point, I was never at a point where it's like, oh, it's the squid, it's not real.
Yeah, so when they go down and when they wake up from the bottom, so then everything afterwards where they went up, that was all fake.
Yes.
But wait.
So I guess Bartkovsky
Wait, hold on though. But wait a second.
So she's not real.
But she's after that, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's why she wakes up.
Right? Oh, there you go.
That's where it is.
Yes.
Something happens on the ship. Something happens, right? The power or whatever fluctuates, and she like...
That makes sense now. Okay, yeah, we're terrible. Okay. Like, I've watched this thing 3 bloody times. I can't even remember that stuff.
Well, I mean, it might speak to like... Again, there might be some ingredients that kind of work here, especially in this first third. It is the closest thing in structure to a normal Red Dwarf episode from like Series 5 or 6, you know. But it doesn't flow. But when you watch it as the 3, it's so... This basically makes a very... Think about this. 3 23-minute episodes. 23 minutes isn't really... Okay, what's that thing we used to say about the old episodes? Like the Despair Squid episode, for example. Going, my God. The Despair Squid bit actually happens very late in the episode when they get infected. Yet there's so much funny. Like... I can tell you right now, the way they walk in and go, warning, do not go in here.
Yes.
And then they wipe down, and then it's like most gross danger. You wipe it again, and it's like somebody exploding. And Crichton's like, don't worry, sir. The old side scan would have picked up if anything dangerous was down here. Just a minute. Tick, 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 tick. And they're just waiting to see if they're going to die. Live or die. Like, I still, and it's been since you and I have watched it, remember the through line of that episode. This is weird because it's hard to remember the way this flows because that's a third of this dedicated to stuff that doesn't quite matter. Whereas in that episode, they show up, they find the people who have like committed suicide stuff, they find out the Despair Squid, they run away, and it's what the last 8 minutes or 10 are so you know are the back to the reality portion. Like it's an odd.
But they've done that a lot. Again, the one that I use a lot is Waiting for God. You think that episode is Waiting for God, but the thing you remember about that episode more than anything else is the garbage pod.
Yeah.
Which is literally like 2 minutes at the beginning and maybe 3 minutes at the end.
But it's brilliant.
Oh, yes.
And this is the closest to a normal episode. It wasn't very funny.
No, it wasn't.
It suffered from that thing Series 8 did, and 7 at times it was like, that's trying too hard to be funny.
Like the bit in the diving bell where they're shouting Rimmer and he's too busy listening to his music. It goes on a little bit too long.
Just too long. Yeah. And the thing that's, when you watch it, you're like, this would work if you just cut that in half.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they are in trouble quick. So if he's just like, because when he has his realization, again, it's a classic Rimmer delivery of the, when he sees what's happening.
Yeah.
But it is, man, it's really hard to remember.
There was an annoying bit at the beginning that I'm surprised you haven't brought up so far. So when Rimmer's like to Crichton, you know what we need to do? We need to dish some dirt up on her, go and find out about her. And then she comes back later on and he's like talking about it and she's behind him. And I've put, we do like the joke of someone walking up behind them while that person is talking about them. And it happened a lot in Series 8. And yet we're going to do it again and it's not funny.
And in Series 8, it still wasn't funny, but at least there's the idea of they're prisoners. He's the captain.
Yes.
But whereas in this one, why wouldn't Crichton just step forward and go, "Oh, hello, Mom. Anything I can help you with?"
Yes.
There's no reason to not do it except to make the joke.
Which is
I
funny.
can argue in Series 8, they're in prison. Lister doesn't want to get... it still doesn't really work that well, but like I get it to some extent.
Not when you've done it a ton of times. Or I mean, again, I know we're 10 years removed, but even this is the difference. We're watching this from the viewpoint of having watched Series 8 in the space of the last month and a half.
Oh, is that where this thing has a weird identity? So that's true. So it was a 9.5, 10-year gap. And so they thought, we're going to do the best of hits. But now, like, you've got DVDs out of the series.
I mean, there will have been then at that point. You'd have probably had DVDs out at that point, and people who were Red Dwarf fans will have probably had them all and will have been rewatching them.
So you go, we're going to do best hits, but you don't quite.
No.
But it's still in this in between. And again, if you explain the plot beat by beat of this the first episode, it sounds like a classic Adventure Dwarf episode. This startup in 2009 feels more like 1999, but 2009 at the video store.
Yeah.
Is funny.
Oh, so my favorite bit in this is when Katarina says, "Send Rimmer through first," and she zips him down to his light bee and chucks it through the portal. And it comes flying out the other side. But obviously, as it flies across the room, he jumps into his size. So the poster it goes through, or the advertising banner, has a Rimmer-shaped hole in it, not a light bee-shaped hole in it. I thought that was a clever little attention to detail.
Yes. His interest was good. The other guys, and Cat was good because he always lands on his feet.
Yeah.
Haha, he's a cat. But the other guys, the really long, I'm like, it doesn't... It's fine. It's always a little too long. But the idea of this being absurd, and the whole, sci-fi is a bit crap, isn't it? The guy trashing the Red Dwarf show or whatever. You're like, I see where you're going from. But again, it kind of goes on a little too long. And I think when you watch it episodically, again, I'm really kind of taking my wife's take on this because we watched the first 2 episodes, took a break, and then I watched the third the next day. For her, and even me, it's like, God, this is so conceited because when you do not understand that what's coming is a reveal that it is a despair squid type situation. This idea that Red Dwarf is back, we're doing this Back to Earth movie, and everybody's gonna love it, and it was a weirdly narcissistic way of presenting Red Dwarf. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just the sci-fi shop that had a bunch of Red Dwarf stuff. Now that makes sense, but it was even the shop had Red Dwarf. Now, later you're like, oh, that's why everything was like that. It was the Hope Squid. Yeah. But when you don't watch it all in one, which you guys got to, I see again, I'm not saying it salvages it completely, but I could see people watching this week to week being like, oh my God, man, I don't know if I can bother with the third one,
which, like you say, Kara did. I can't be bothered.
Yeah, he's still may introduce a woman, but I still haven't figured out how to write for her after three different seasons. So I'll just kill her off scene or off the screen. And this middle part is got some rough ones too that go on too long. The bit with the sci-fi nerd running the shop.
Oh, so do you know who he is?
I figured he must be someone that
Blake, I'm glad you didn't look him up because I guarantee you know who he is because I watched it 3 times and I'm like, your voice is so familiar. And I sat watching it with Tracy last night on Monday night and I was like, it's killing me who he is. And don't look him up.
I'm not.
Tracy's like, gosh, he's in all sorts. So I looked him up and I went, oh my God. Of course I know who he is. He looked different because and I guarantee you watch it, Blake, right? So he doesn't normally have a beard and he normally has glasses on. And it was the voice. It was the voice that got me. It's like, I know your voice. And I was like, oh my God. Ted Lasso.
Wait.
He is Hannah Waddingham's right-hand man at the club.
Oh my God.
Jeremy Swift, he's called, his actual name. I can't remember what his character is in Ted Lasso, but yeah, he's always got a suit on, glasses. I can't think of his name in it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes. Look at that.
I'm so happy you didn't recognize him.
I don't think I'd ever recognize him, though, looking at him, the way he looks in Ted Lasso.
It was his voice.
Yeah.
It was his voice that got me, because he sounds like, he's from, I think I looked him up, he's from Stockton, which is like literally 10 miles up the road from us. So I was like, the voice, your voice is so familiar. And I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, of course I know who you are.
But like, that bit was one that I was like, okay, fun. It's a guy who runs, it's a sci-fi shop. They see all the toys, the new movies coming out. That's fun. It's more to freak them out. But his listen to music.
No, that was weird. Yeah, that was weird.
And then the whole, you in another dimension? Yeah, that sometimes happens, man. And I'm like, wait, I actually don't like that because you're kind of making fun of your fans. I mean, I would think in a way you'll be able to bring this back on Dave because of fans who like sci-fi got into Red Dwarf and
true.
It just seemed odd. It would be like if one of the Marvel movies had a scene where Tony Stark went to a comic store and he just made fun of the idiot who runs the store. Do you know what I mean? Like it struck me as funny. I hate let's try to be funny for the sake of being funny and it's not delivered. Like why? And again, I now. When you can watch it, when you're watching it episodically, it's worse because you're like, why doesn't he just freak out like they're the actors? Like, that's not really the take that he has. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you think if he's running the sci-fi store and he's got red dwarfs everywhere, he'd be like, oh my God, can I get your autograph, Robert Llewellyn? Can I get like that? Why didn't that happen? Now, again, we'll later find out, well, it's a reality.
Yeah, it's not real, so of course, yeah.
But if you're watching it broken up, you
don't know that, so yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It's weird, yeah. Like it's very. I would love to know the ratings as this went each episode.
I mean, it must have done well enough overall because we got another 3 series after this one, so it must have done well enough. I want to go back a little bit because there's one of the most random things in this episode. Call it episode because it's like this section in the middle. So. They go into the shopping centre and they're all like, why they all appear to be in smirk mode, sir. It's like, oh yeah, they're not used to seeing freaks out in public. And then there's like the whole dig at like whatever those singing things like America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent as it was, or that Pop Stars, The Rivals or whatever crap we had over here at that point where they roll them all out on a Saturday night and get them to sing and dance and everyone makes fun of them. I thought that was quite funny. Although, actually, I'll get to the bit that I'm going to get at and then I've got a question to ask you because there's a reference in here a couple of times that Tracy and I were like, I don't understand that reference. But they go in and they go to the... They go to the other video store, don't they, to get the DVDs, and they're not there. Yes. And then they go to like the furniture shop, and they're sat there, and then they get the money. Like, oh, we need money. I can show you where we get money from. And they're like digging their arms down the side of the couch to pull out all the crap down there.
But were they like in a mall or something where all these stores
just
are in
a shopping centre? Yeah,
a shopping centre kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So when Lister's talking to Rimmer about being back on Earth and stuff. Rimmer sat there leafing through carpet samples like it's a magazine. I was like, what is he doing?
Did you read this? No, don't bother. I like it and there's a deleted scene around that, by the way, you should watch, where Lister's up on the bunk and it's alluding to them being in their room.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Like so if you look up Back to Earth, they're not necessarily like life changing or anything, but look up Back to Earth deleted scenes. And it comes out of that scene, or it's around that scene. It's basically the same scene, except there's just extra in the beginning or end. But there's like the toy guitar hanging up on the bunks behind him.
I never
so when
noticed
Lister
that.
gets in it, and then Rimmer actually lays down the bottom bunk, and basically
cool.
You're back in Red Dwarf.
Nice.
Which it's funny that they cut that because when I'm staring at it, the first viewing, like, well, they're almost doing their bunk, but not quite. Yeah, that joke with the carpet thing.
It was weird, but it was funny. It was funny because he's just leafing through it like it's a magazine.
And I do find it funny, but I did think, man, this show, it feels like the comedy in this second episode would truly have been built around them as fish out of water.
Yes. And it wasn't really.
No. And they were, because it was like the idea of like, just think if there would have been more stuff like that, you know, even like being able to drive the Starbug like this, or Carbug or whatever.
Because the thing is, we're supposed to be, 150 years in the past at this point?
Yeah.
Weird. So the reference it's referenced a couple of times, and I don't understand it. You might know more. So they reference banks. Oh, is this around the time period where the banks went, and then it's referenced again later on about banks. What is that reference? Is it like a Lehman Brothers thing?
Well, there was the 2008 crisis, and there was the AIG bailout in the United States.
It's probably that. Yeah, but that's a US reference on a British TV show. That's weird.
I mean, it definitely was globally affecting, because like that's when like all my friends that worked at the theme parks like, oh, it's scary because it was empty at that point in time. Like,
you worked in the theme parks? Oh yeah, of course you did.
Gosh, did I? Yeah. I mean, but everybody between like Disney and Universal were like, yeah, in 2008 was scary because it was so empty.
That was a global financial meltdown triggered by the collapse of the US housing market and the proliferation of risky subprime mortgages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except, basically they were giving out mortgages they should never have given out. The movie The Big Short is about it.
I've never seen it. Oh, yeah, there you go. Lehman Brothers filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2008. Okay. We weren't sure, but we figured that's what it was.
I just kind of heard it and went away and like, okay, yeah, they made it. Like, you know, Star Trek should make references of things that hadn't happened yet or whatever. Like, oh, you know, back in 1999 or whatever. I didn't even occur to me. But yeah, that's square when this would have been filmed and done. Speaking of Star Trek references, I did like that.
Oh, yeah.
The whole why don't you do this? We know
and
that.
It says, what about the matter paddle? It's back on Red Dwarf. What about time slides where you walk into the They're back on Red Dwarf. What about teleportation? That's Star Trek.
Yeah, that started. The way they deliver it is so great. Like, that forgot about Star Trek joke. That was a good one.
Yeah, I did like the Blade Runner thing where the photograph to get the address on the card, and it's like you could have just looked it up in the phone book, but obviously like a real. Just play off that whole section in Blade Runner.
Enhance. Now look at this. Reverse image. Enhance. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to find a bit of liquid here. There you go. Oh, thanks very much, Fido.
And Chris Berry delivers it brilliantly. Like it's so good the way that it's done. In that that moment. Gosh, this is another one of those. There's probably enough moments to make an episode. I don't know if there's enough to like truly.
I mean, you did.
What they did here, because it, you know, and is this the second one where they get on the bus? Oh, is this the bus episode?
That was funny when he gets on. It's like, where's first class? He goes, it's all first class, mate. And he's like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Oh, so nice. And those two kids, are you Dave Lister?
Oh my God. Like, see that girl, I had to look her up. I know it wasn't, but I still had to look. She sounded exactly like Emma Watson in the first Harry Potter movie. And I was like,
she really did.
I'm sure it isn't, but I'm going to look just in case. But she sounded so much like Emma Watson from Philosopher's Stone.
But like, and again, it feels so on the nose. Like you're like, this is cute, but also like, man. Now, of course, if you watched it in one sitting, oh, it's the squid. But again, I can't wait to watch this third part. My wife, because she didn't get to that yet. So right now, she's like, so if you think about. Oh, they're in the real world, but we're writing people like that weird guy who runs this shop. And you're like, well, that's so. Wouldn't the point be of putting the Red Dwarf boys on Earth in modern times be that they are the weirdos that don't know how to fit in? Yeah. Almost like Rimmer and Crichton in Backwards, right? But instead, all the people are written weirdly, way more cartoony than they are.
Yeah.
So. The guy with the whole like, oh, it's a bit rubbish, you know, whatever, bollocks, the sci-fi, and then like in each one, you're like, God, no one is like real. The kids weirdly are come across as the most real, even though it just feels a bit much, you know.
But then you realize that the more we're talking about it, the more I realize that it is actually Lister's. It is Lister's hope. Dream, whatever you want to call it, that we're actually living out, because he's the one that like the kids are like, oh, you're actually pretty cool, you know, you don't give a smeg and you're brave, and I like the way that got paid off at the end with Kachansky. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and the girl saying, you know, she's not dead. He lied to you, giving him hope.
Yeah. Although, by the way, the fact is like, isn't it cool having a whole TV channel named after you? I had to look that up because even Tracy asked me, is that true? Is that why Dave's called Dave? Is it after Dave Lister? And I'm like, no, it's not.
But they showed a lot of the episodes on Dave.
So the reason it's called Dave is because such a random, weird reason. It's because everyone knows a guy called Dave. So that's why they called it Dave, apparently. I was like, all right, whatever. I think it would have been funnier if it had been named after Dave Lister.
It is weird, though, because it did bring the show back to some extent. Well, I mean, literally, the rest of the episodes are all on Dave, right? From this point on, the remaining series?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And is this the one where they meet? No, they meet Craig Charles, which, again, I thought was quite a good little scene.
It was.
Because it's the guy, his co-star from Coronation Street, right, sees them.
Yeah, I can't think what his name is. He's been
in the street.
He's only ever been in Coronation Street, that guy. And then Michelle Keegan, who works behind the shop, where that bit where they go in the shop and he's like, oh, I've learned the local dialect, sir, and it goes in, is probably the funniest scene in the entire thing.
Yes. Yes.
And Chris Barry is brilliant in it.
Yeah. He does, and because Crichton doesn't really do the accent, he almost tries to do the, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the pattern of the accent, but not like do the sounds
just the
of
words,
it.
Whereas Chris Barry leans into it so heavily.
Yeah,
it's
really
brilliant.
Good. Yes.
Well, I'll go to the foot of our stairs. It's class, and it's just so good. Oh, smell those balm cakes. And it's like, oh my God, this how many Americans would watch that and have no idea what's going on right now? But from a British perspective, it's hilarious.
Yeah, especially because they don't really have anybody that they run into that talks that way.
No, exactly.
Before it happens, they just say where they are.
Yeah.
But but I thought I thought that scene was quite good.
It was.
And again, you're kind of like, why isn't he freaking out more? Why is Craig Charles accepting this more? But then again, if you watch the whole thing, that's why.
Yeah.
I guess I would. No, I'll save it toward the end. I'll save it for the end.
The car bug's awesome, by the way. I love the car bug. It's the coolest thing ever. But apparently it wasn't roadworthy. So the road they're actually driving on's a private road because it wasn't actually road legal.
Well, there's a couple of interesting trivia, and I don't know if it's on your trivia, but as I said, I did a little digging. So the one is with the Coronation Street crossover. They talk about how you can truly tell the show's on Dave, not the BBC, because that was an ITV show.
It was, yes, you're right. It still is. Coronation Street still is on ITV.
And they're like, BBC wouldn't have done that as like a straight. And the other one is Doug Naylor. They were out of production money. He bought the Starbug car.
Oh, I didn't know
with his own
That's cool.
money. He bought the smart car so they could like make it because he really wanted it to happen. So that was like a bit of a labor of love. I forgot it was a smart. I remember the visual again of the car, but I forgot that it was a smart car. That it was an itty bitty little smart.
They're bloody expensive, those things as well for what they are.
Yeah.
In one of the trivias I've got, it's like apparently one of the extras in the London street scenes is wearing an Ace Rimmer t-shirt.
Oh,
I feel like I need to go back and watch it and see if that's true.
It is funny with all the callbacks that an Ace Rimmer didn't make it into this somehow. Like that. That would have made sense to me. But then I guess it wouldn't.
No, I don't. You say that, but it's all about Lister, isn't it? So he probably wouldn't.
Oh, that's true. And then you have that scene when he's leaving the pub, and Lister is talking about Craig Charles, like, what a weird guy pretending to be other people for a living. Like, like it's great. I mean, like I love that stuff. There's so many of these when you talk about them, they sound so fun and clever when you say it out loud, but I don't know if it's that lack of...
It's just the execution. I think it's that writing, isn't it? I think you miss, again, we've talked about it so
pacing
much, is not having Rob Grant there. It just kind of misses, because you actually lay the whole thing out. And like I said...
Plus the studio audience, right?
It's probably one of the best written episodes overall that we've had for a long time. It just doesn't quite... Like, again, you've watched it as 3 separate episodes, so I can't even imagine. Like you said, the car was like, I'm never going to bother watching the third one. And like when you watched it originally, it's like, I get halfway through, because as single episodes, there's not necessarily anything in there to hook you in. Whereas if you're watching it as one long episode, then that's you're used to it, because like, it'll explain itself by the time I get to the end, so I'll just stay in for the duration. It just doesn't quite hit the mark.
Yeah, it's like the pacing, the lack of the studio audience. I don't know, a lot of it was filmed outside, but so even a laugh tracker, it's something. because they deliver the lines and sometimes almost hold for laughter as if there's laughter.
Yeah.
And it hits weird. It doesn't quite like, it is got a strange, I mean, that was kind of, I looked up a thing, kind of the reception of it was that people were excited to have everyone back, but like the pacing and the lack of a live studio audience was, they thought, a bit much. I did find the numbers, by the way, though. Let's see. Where
I would think it's got to be, at least for the first episode.
Part 1 drew an average of 2.6 million overnight viewers, reaching up to 4 million over the Easter weekend. So I guess it played a couple of times. And then the subsequent parts, Part 2 drew 3 million viewers, Part 3, 2.9. So like it did really well. Yeah. Again, people were excited to see them. And yes, you had the videos and stuff out, but it's not like today where literally I can be like, just stream it.
That's probably what it is. People, Red Dwarf fans haven't had anything for 10 years. They'll take anything at that point.
And it was the highest rated commissioned program on a UK digital network, putting the Dave Network like, this exists now. Okay. This is going to be a thing. Yeah.
But obviously now we're moving for you, Part 3, and it definitely takes a turn.
Yeah. There's always been aliens references, specifically more so aliens than even, but like.
Well, actually, I wrote on, and I didn't bring it up at the time, but when they go into the video store, there is literally an aliens poster on the wall.
There's 2 posters. There's Memento and Aliens, and I love that. Yes,
of course.
I was like, of course they put that up there. That was great. I can't believe I didn't write that down. Yeah, because I remember watching. Like, there we go. There's the alien there. Although, wouldn't it be weird? Chris Berry references Alien in some of his dialogue in early episodes. But are we to believe the Hope Squid has revealed that Memento is also a hugely popular movie 200 million years or 200 years in the future or whatever?
I haven't watched that film for ages. I used to love that movie.
Yeah, great movie, but it just was an odd like two-part pairing as opposed to doing like 2 classic things, you know what I mean? Like actually what you needed was aliens and then a fake poster of killer bikini babes from outer space or whatever, that fake movie they bring up all the time.
See, I feel like it wouldn't make any difference to this overall, but I feel like I feel like if they'd done this the way most things do this, the theme being heavily based on another IP, say you start, the cold open is Kat and Lister watching Blade Runner, and then something happens, Kat goes off, they get done by the Hope Squid, and then that would explain why the fantasy that they're experiencing is Blade Runner.
You're right. There was a Doctor Who episode with Capaldi that it was a Christmas special. I remember like, well, this is kind of like Alien, and this is kind of like Thing from Another World, and I forget the story, but basically these things have attached these things like and it was like this woman fell asleep when this alien attached to her watching the film Alien. This other person was watching Thing, so it was pulling all these kind of elements that were similar to. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. So they would have mentioned it or something. We're watching this old movie.
Yeah.
But
like,
that's
it's not
why it's
quite,
in everybody's head.
It's not quite the same, but my favorite episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like hands down, is the gang turns black, where they fall asleep during watching The Wiz, and they all get electrocuted, and then they wake up as black people in a musical. Is one of my favorite. But it makes sense because they fell asleep and got electrocuted while watching The Wiz. So I just feel like the whole Blade Runner thing in this doesn't make sense. Whereas again, if you'd have just had Lister or Cat and Lister or Rimmer and Lister or just whatever watching Blade Runner, then it's a tiny little thing, but then it just brings it together. Does that make sense? I know it's it's me just being a little nitpicky, but it just would have. Like, the whole Blade Runner thing comes from kind of nowhere. I know, like, the creator says, your whole conception was born out of Blade Runner and your death's going to be born out of Blade Runner. And Trish is like, is that true? And I'm like, I don't think so, because if you look at Red Dwarf, it's not the same as Blade Runner.
No. To me, there's nothing like Blade Runner except the dystopia future in Back to Reality.
Yeah.
That is the fake, but
there's no reason for this to be centered around a Blade Runner type story. I mean, it's even referenced. They do reference Blade Runner, but once they're on Earth.
Yeah, but even the enhanced thing, you can say that's Blade Runner. It is a Blade Runner scene, but it's also a famous thing from cop shows at the time. Like, can you enhance that image? So it took me a second. I thought it was playing off that before I realized it was playing off the Blade Runner reference.
But I think because someone does mention Blade Runner in it, don't they? In the first episode.
The creator
somewhere.
does.
No, I think it's
it.
referenced earlier on. I'm sure I want to say it's referenced earlier on.
Oh, maybe they do. I don't remember that. Well, the reference, the most overt, is the end of them at the furniture store. Cat makes the origami and sets it down. And he sets one down in the pub, right? Is it pub then or
yes,
or is the pub after? But he is that the first one? I think is the. So then you're like, okay, this is going to be a, and that's kind of the only, because they don't do it at the end of episode 1. So end of episode 2, you have him drop the origami. So what does he drop? Like 2 or 3 of them?
3, I think.
Yeah, and then it's Cat that kind of helps figure things out. Like, I mean, yeah. You know, part of the show's problem is they're literally springboarding from a reference from one of the best episodes. Back to Reality is great. And one of the best things about Back to Reality is how hard they swing into the new reality.
Yeah.
Of, that was fake. I mean, that whole like, you twonks. Like, you know, like what about Rimmer was, no, it's blatant, and it's a blatant clue, and it's the eye in the swimming certificate, right? Because he didn't learn how to swim, and that's where it's the message to the captain about blah, 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 whatever. But like it swung so hard that I think I mentioned this when we covered that episode, that as a kid I was like, is this going to be is this the show now? Like, is this going to be the next episode? They're trying to figure out how to live in this world or whatever. They lean so hard into it, even though it's not only, 5-ish minutes out of the episode. Whereas this, it doesn't play it for real enough.
No.
Because even when it's like, there's a funny line when in the Back to Reality where that guy's going to shoot that little girl, and Lister's like, whoa, what are you doing? She stole an apple of the people. And while the audience does laugh at that because the guy treats it so serious, it is played so straight that for that character, this is real, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, there's something, and even what's his face from Harry Potter, that the whole, you twonks, he's just this average dude working at this game store that does this Back to Reality game. Get out of here. Come on, get out of here, kids. We got to move on. It's so real. And this, from the beginning, they don't try to make our Earth feel real enough. And then it's what you said, the turn. When they go to that makeup artist, I know they're alluding to that character in Blade Runner, but that's so weird. Him down there working on the fake noses, and Lister's like, I didn't know I could read Chinese. And it's like, oh, well, that is like Blade Runner because there was Chinese everywhere. But I'm like, it swings so hard to a new aesthetic so fast. And then you see that giant building on the outside in London that looks like the big buildings in Blade Runner. Yeah. And you're like, what just happened? Like it goes so far, because up until this point, it looks like 2009 Earth.
Yeah, because it is.
And then there's that. It's a little hard to reconcile with, to be honest, like that jump, because when they decide to go find the creator after talking to Craig Charles, well, no, he sends them to the makeup artist. Yeah,
but no, because they find the card door and Mr. Swallow or whatever he's called. And
and then that takes them to, and then they get to the creator. But that moment with him was weird. He's wearing like the simulant outfit, it looks like, the guy doing the nose. And I know it's a Blade Runner reference, but that scene was weird. And that guy played it so weird and unrealistic.
I think the thing is, like you say, at that point, it's like, so we know this whole thing's based on Blade Runner, but it hasn't really felt like it's based on Blade Runner at this point. So we're going to make that final episode, at least the final episode for you, the last 20 minutes for me. We're really going to lean into that. And it literally goes from feeling like this episode of Red Dwarf to Blade Dwarf Runner.
Yeah, we're prior. You've seen 2 origami things going, is that like the thing in Blade Runner? What's he doing? That's it. And then it's just...
And then we full on Blade Runner, yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact, the aesthetic of Blade Runner is based on ICI Wilton, which I can see from my work building. because
Oh,
Ridley
that's
Scott
cool.
is from around this area. Ridley and Tony Scott are both from the northeast of England, and so if you look up ICI Wilton, which is a big petrochemical plant in Redcar, like those towers, you know, like the big pipes with the flames coming out at the top, and that's basically what it looks like.
What's it called?
ICI Wilton.
How do you spell it? Like ice?
ICI, the letter I, C, and I.
And then Wilton Building?
Just WILTON. ICI Wilton. Just a big petrochemical plant.
Oh, yeah, that is absolutely okay. Yeah, you totally
if
see
you can find images of it at night. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. Because they're both from up this, well, obviously Tony Scott's now because he's not here anymore, but yeah, Ridley Scott, they're both from around this area, and it's like if you...
Oh, yeah, look at that.
I will take next time when it gets around Christmas time and it's darker at night. I will take some pictures of it because there's always every Tuesday they do this massive vent, and I'm like, oh, it's Blade Runner.
but like they do that, like they even have like the geisha on the advertisement, on the building going up, and that's the thing. It just leapt so hard into it.
Yeah.
Then they go in this weird set with this creator guy who
has little rimmers as.
Someone said they screwed it up. His name should have been Mr. Naylor. Grant Naylor is what they should have named him. Yeah, he should have been. But like, you know, and it gets
weird.
It gets weird, but not like in a
funny way. It's just odd.
Yeah. Well, like Lister kills that guy by crushing his head.
Which is very strange because he doesn't really, does he? Yeah.
It's poorly choreographed and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't like...
It's very odd.
Yeah, it lines up very strange, but then of course, like he's not dead because he chases them out, right? Yeah, no, yeah, no, right, no.
That's where he's chasing them out. That's the where he's writing. Story. That's the ending of ending of his story. Yeah,
but that moment, I thought this looks really weird, and I went, "What knocked the guy out? Why isn't Lister just punching him and knocking him out?" But he's dead, and then Lister's kind of fine with it, which I was like, "This is weird," but also just from a theatrical staging standpoint. What killed him? Like he covered his ears. It was just like it did. You know. Again,
he's dead by ear suffocation.
But and I get like doing a violent Lister death
would be.
But like think about this: if you did a classic Lister punch and the guy fell down and cried, going, "My good sir, he's dead."
Yeah.
What? I just punched
odd.
Yeah, like it felt weirdly rushed. It looks rushed because the set doesn't look great. It's just this black room with these pieces of furniture.
I think they spent all the money on the little rimmers.
Yeah. Well, so isn't that funny? Like Series 7, not well thought of, but people clearly reacted to the rimmer world.
Yes.
The little little rimmers. And I forgot, but you said that. So again, when you get to that part, you're like, those things. Wait, why are those? What is this world? Because you still don't realize yet, you know, it's the despair. But like the little rimmers, again, it is so remember this that instead of being funny.
And then it's like the whole where they're writing the story, Lister figures out he can write the story and whatever he types comes true. Kind of, again, outstays its welcome just a little
the
bit
bit with
too
Rimmer,
much.
you mean? Where he's making him do dumb stuff?
Because he has him doing which I actually found quite funny. And then smashing his groin off the corner of the table. And then Crichton stepping on the rakes. It's not
long.
Too much. Like we've said, I think we said in that either the last episode, or either episode 8 or episode 7 of the last series, I can't remember which, where they did, it was the whole orange soda popsicle thing when it went on far too long, like way too long.
Yeah.
This is like, it's just a smidge too long.
Yeah, 3 rakes, please, and
and
but also, why is he doing that to Crichton? Why is he like? I get
think just because he can.
But yeah, and so then he's doing it, and it's that whole bit is funny, but then obviously it's not him doing it anymore, and it takes over. Why am I losing how that ends?
Because then it just starts. It's like, I didn't do that. Hang on, I didn't type that either. Maybe it wasn't him that was writing the story. Maybe it was something else. I've just clicked. That's the squid. I never clicked it. That's literally just clicked in my head. It's like, of course, you're not writing it. It's the squid writing it.
And then after, that's when Cat blows what are these things I've been doing? He blows it and it shows
which is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. And then they remember it. And again, she is dressed, and Kachansky's done up exactly like the character from Blade Runner.
Yeah, Rachel, is it?
Yeah, which we've done homages in Red Dwarf.
Never just a blatant ripoff.
Like a parody. Yeah, I don't, like, it feels weird to me that she is they're still doing Blade Runner once the Despair Squid is revealed.
Yes.
Or Hope Squid, I should say.
Yeah.
And Lister decides, screw it, I stay because to me this will feel real and I'll stay with her. So why is it still Blade Runner?
I guess they would still have to, because you've got to pay it off otherwise. If you don't do that end the way they do it, then the whole Blade Runner thing would feel even weirder.
Yeah. Yeah, but then don't you feel like that's weird too? Like, so he says, I'm not going to go back, guys. I'm just going to die there. So they fade away to return back.
Yeah.
And wake up and they're like, well, if Lister doesn't fight it, he'll never come to. And then you just cut to him driving in the car with him. They drive for a bit. And then he's like, gets out of the car. They have their little conversation or whatever, gets out of the car and then does the quip from the kids.
Which I like that. I like that bit.
I like that bit. But I almost wish that bit had been they all disappear and she kisses him or something. They're still in the same room. And then he's like, no, you're still out there somewhere. Because Crichton does reveal that is true, that she did survive.
Yeah.
And then he says those lines. I know that car bit just felt.
But doesn't that happen in Blade Runner? Tracy said like that. It's played out exactly. Yeah. And that's why they've done it that way. But I actually like that final scene where she's like, you'll never get me. I'm far too good for you. And it's like, well, actually, no, I'm not, because I'm actually pretty cool. And I don't give it. I like the payoff of that. I do like actually.
That. Yeah. But I will say again, though, if you were watching that spread out, that probably hits better when you're watching them all together. Probably,
yes, because you're getting that payoff so quickly. Like unless you watched yours back to back,
right?
Which again, I want to say that when it came out, it was on over the course of a weekend.
So they pretty much played each day.
Yes. So then it wasn't as bad as if it was like the normal weekly episodes, but it still wouldn't pay off.
But but when it's all said and done, I do feel like, I mean, look, I always appreciate trying something different. It's even like Series 7. I was like, you know what? Things had to change and they tried something different. Like I don't hold that in like, you did a bad job, guys. That's not, even though I don't necessarily like all of it, like, but like you're trying something different and I get it. It's, but this is like trying something different, but yet really trying to do the old thing, but not like super well, but making so many changes that when you try to do the old stuff, it feels more like it isn't. Like, for example, like, I know it's a deleted scene, I said, but like having Lister and Rimmer in the bunk bed, but with no laugh track. Yeah. So it somehow points out even more how much it isn't the old thing. I do feel like, hark back on between Series 8 and 9, that was a poor choice. And you can tell from the reception, people are like, hey, why no explanation? I think there is stuff you could cut out of all three of these parts and have squeezed in a 1-minute explanation of.
Well, I mean, Blake, you don't even need that. You've already said it. You got to watch 3 23-minute episodes. And if you go back from like series maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, they were all like, we were up to about 29-minute episodes. Yeah. So this isn't even 3 full-length episodes at this point. They're actually short episodes. So yes, there's more than enough space to just explain just a bit of lip service of what happened between the end of Series 8 and the beginning of this one. But again, I don't think it was a case of we don't want to. We're going to try and do that comedy thing, like I said earlier, of all this. This is actually season 10 or series. This is actually series 10. You didn't get to see Series 9 because it's disappeared. Yeah. So, and it's kind of funny, but it didn't really work.
And who knows what they wanted to do. But man, it's a real shame that they didn't have the actor playing himself of Captain Hollister, because if they would have bumped into him and Rimmer.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like
That
would have been
been
excellent.
funny.
Like, Chris, what are you doing? What are you guys like?
That would have been funny.
You know, like, oh, you guys celebrating because you're doing a new Back to Earth series, but you didn't have me in it. Like, you know what? Like, that would have been, I would love to have seen him, because that's my favorite. I think one of my favorite parts of Series 8 was bringing Captain Hollister back.
Yeah.
Like, he was such a great addition. All the other new characters were, you know, but he was great.
Yeah.
Like I loved him.
I think I'm giving this probably more of a pass than you are, because for me, watching it as one like 69-minute episode, it felt like it wasn't part of the series. Does that make sense? Like it felt like Series 10 is actually Series 9, but they did like a one-off feature-length thing in the middle to bring it back, so it doesn't feel like it's part of everything else. So for me, it feels a bit detached, whereas you watching it as like 3 separate episodes probably feels more like it is part of that. So I think I'm giving it slightly more of a pass. Now, I want to get your rating for it before I read Steven's email.
So I do, because I did find a little production stuff, and two, just to like put a pin in like how different it feels, and a lot of it was the production. So I did find some notes on that. It was obviously one, there's the long hiatus, right?
Yeah.
But the budget and style shifts, production faced tight budget constraints, forced writer-director Doug Naylor to shoot the miniseries as only a single camera production without a traditional live studio audience. So it's actually a budget issue. And the filming locations was a one-day shoot at the Coronation Street sets in Manchester. They filmed in Shepperton Studios for then 13 days. Think about that. 13 days to knock just shy of a regular film down, and length, and then extensive VFX because they couldn't afford to build many physical sets. So vast areas of the ships were just, you know, virtual and green screen and stuff.
And I was thinking back, I think I brought it up early when we were talking about the budget and the CG. Like Tracy and I both kind of, our backs prickled up a little bit because of the CG scutters. And it's probably...
Oh, yeah, why?
So my thought behind that is, I wonder if they even have the original scutters at that point, and maybe they didn't, or they were so degraded that it was just easier to do CG. Because initially I was like, they look terrible.
But even in 09, I just would have thought building the Scudder puppet real fast would have been cheaper than...
I'm just giving I'm giving them a get out that maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, that blows, that sort of blew my mind.
Because apparently the motion capture for that was actually Danny John Jules had his hand in a blue sock, and he was doing the motion capture for the CG.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah,
that
which I thought was pretty cool.
God, it looks so janky, though.
Oh, it really does. It's got that weird, because it's like when CG was still relatively new, and it had that weird shiny... They hadn't managed to get things to look real, and it just looks too shiny.
Well, it was the year after Iron Man came out, although I understand they did not have the budget that
Iron Man still looks pretty good. I always used to say, as like, if you look back at things like the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man and Blade 2, sorry. Like the actual people characters always look too bendy. I always say that you can tell the CG, they look like bendy. They're weird.
Yeah. The clothes cling to them in a way that clothes don't. Yeah.
Actually, that was a perfect reference, because Blade 2, the bit that I noticed it the most is when the two vampires infiltrate Blade's camp, which, funnily enough, one of them is Danny John Jules.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It is Danny John. Yeah.
What a perfect reference. Yeah, that fight with her, whatever she's called, I can't remember, and Blade in front of they've got like the big bank of like halogen lights, haven't they? There's like a fight in front of them with the swords.
Oh, the UV lights or whatever.
It looks very bendy. It looks weird.
Yeah, it's like it's like how Matrix looks so good because they all learned how to do kung fu. And that one scene where Neo fights the 1,000 Smiths, and when it switches to him being CG, you're like, not yet, guys.
Oh, and there's even a bit in the middle of that when he's swinging round on. It's always in the movie bloopers when he's got the big pipe and he's swinging round
same
it,
scene.
and the pipe's bent, like literally bent. Oh, speaking of the Matrix, we watched the newest one a couple of weekends ago, Revolutions. Oh no, what's it called?
No, Revolution. I think you're right.
No, Revolutions is the third part. Resurrection,
yeah.
And we both looked at each other afterwards and went, well, that is the most unnecessary film I have ever seen in my entire life. It was terrible. And I love the Matrix films. It was awful.
I've definitely not gone to that one yet because
it's absolutely pointless.
Do you want some sad history? They went ahead and made it because Warner Brothers said with or without Wachowski involvement, they were going to make it. So they went, and so they that's
terrible.
Isn't that sad? But anyway.
Yeah.
So rating. Was there anything else we want to say?
I don't think so.
So oh God, I was so hard. We were so harsh on some last episodes of Series 8. Like 4s and stuff, ratings that we dropped. I think some listeners might be annoyed that I'm saying as high at 6 based off some of the things I said in
6,
lower episodes. But I am going to say 6 out of
50.
It's I think much the public reception at the time. Oh my gosh, it's so nice to see the crew together.
Yes, of course.
I could imagine that 10 years later, most people probably didn't just previously watch all the episodes right before.
No.
And, they, enjoyed seeing everybody back together.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of nice. And it is a clever, I like what they're trying to do. I think the thing that's hard is that, but Back to Reality was so good. It's tough to go back to that well and not do it better, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
And that's why, I was going to give it a 6 initially. And then I read Stephen's email and I was like, oh, you're kind of right. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 5. It was all right. I
cannot wait to hear this email.
I like the fact that it was, like I said earlier, that a lot of Series 8, the actual stories based around the episodes were poor. Like really, really poor. And it's just, like I said, it became the Red Dwarf sketch show because they just seemed to have a list of jokes that they wanted to do. And then after they'd figured out what jokes they wanted, it's like, how do we fit these together to make a somewhat cohesive storyline? Whereas this, I felt like they went in with a story first and foremost. Like, wouldn't it be funny if we do this thing where there's the squid and it's Lister's thing and we mix it in with Blade Runner and wrap it up, and they're trying to find out how many episodes they got left, because I thought a really clever story. It just didn't quite have the laughs in there to make it go. If they could have made this funny, it probably would have been one of the best things.
It had the reverse problem. They had the story, but but they couldn't get the funny in there.
And I think if they could have done it, it could have been up there as a 7 or 8 or even a 9. If they'd really got some decent jokes in there, it could have been really good.
Like, what could you have done? I mean, I know that it was mostly drove by Lister, but it hit all of them. That's why Crichton's memory of Kochanski actually living bled into the story and stuff like that, because that was true. But I'm just thinking, my God, what the dropped ball in this of Rimmer not meeting Chris Berry, who's a successful actor enjoying his life.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what? While he hates his neurosis-filled life, that would have been hysterical. And you give Chris Berry the super hot wife.
Yeah. You have Rimmer meet Britas.
Yes.
That would have been funny. There's a couple of things. I can't remember. There was one reference that I thought, it would have been cool if it had just seen. What was it now? I can't remember. Anyway, shall we get to Stephen's email, Blake?
Yeah, and who?
So Stephen's just a listener. I know him through. He is a listener of one of our other podcasts, so we've interacted. I think he's Stephen. Please forgive me. I'm pretty sure he's Scottish. So he said, "Hi guys, just watched Back to Earth on the iPlayer, and oh my god, that was the biggest piece of garbage that I have watched within the Red Dwarf universe." The concept of the show was so lazy, just playing on the fact that Red Dwarf had a loyal fan base that would be gagging for content and would watch anything related to the show, but I would never watch this again, probably if you paid me. The premise of the TV series stars falling through a portal to find the creator is using Star Trek the movie premise. The Coronation Street aspect was just awful, and having Blade Runner going through the whole episode, you'd be as well just reshooting the film. The small aspect of the origami shapes turning into despair squid was the only element that was original in the whole show. But again, using a character stroke monster from a previous episode was lazy writing. You felt that Series 8 was bad, disjointed and hard to watch? Hold my coat, as you were in for an even worse experience with Back to Earth. Can't wait to hear you critique this one, and can't wait to rewatch Series 10. Hopefully we'll bring back a bit more coherence to the saga. Love the podcast. Smoke me a kipper. I'll be back for Series 10. Stephen J. Maxwell.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, So because he made me look at something I'd written from a different lens. Because I wrote initially, I like the fact that it kind of goes back to things that we've seen before. But then also, like he said, it is kind of lazy writing.
Well, and we just did, I mean, and if you think about Series 8 was all about going back. The ship is back.
Yeah.
The crew is back. We already kind of did, and again, I know it's 10 years now
that's
between
that's
these two.
the thing. That's the thing that stops it. Like I said, we're watching it from the perspective of watching 2 episodes every couple of weeks. So for us, it's a very different thing. Going into writing this 9 years later probably felt more like a thing. Like, oh, this is cool because we'll give people a bit of nostalgia and whatever. But
I don't disagree with his assessment of, I have already, once we got through Series 8, went, I'm going to go back and watch Series 7 again, I think, at some point, because I might have a different viewpoint.
Maybe.
I might have been harsher on a few episodes. In retrospect, we're actually punching above their weight compared to what like would come. But I will agree with our dear listener there. I don't know that I would go back. I don't need to watch this one again.
No. I don't know. There are things I like. I do like the meta bit where he goes to see himself, Craig Charles, at Coronation. I did like that. There are some good bits. It just, I don't know, it just lacked a bit of comedy for me. It wasn't funny, and that was... And again, I know, like we said with the last series where it was all about the jokes and not much else, this kind of it's like the Snyderverse. You know, when the Snyderverse went, oh, everything's too dark and we need to inject some humor in it, and they went like Birds of Prey and Shazam and stuff like that, and it went a little bit too much the other way. I feel like this has done the same thing. Maybe they've listened to that criticism of Series 8 of going, no, it's just sketch show. Well, we need to give them something more, that they went a little bit too much that way. Yeah,
and I do appreciate like what you said, that it's almost like they went more story.
Yeah, which I like.
But I do agree with Stephen, though. It is, and we've said it ourselves, the Blade Runner thing, I get it, and yeah, it is. The origami thing is like the most clever bit out of it. But the effort to really parody it with the ending of Blade Runner that the guy writes where they run through the glass and they're being shot, and like, and doing the car bit with her, like Deckard did with the replicant. Why that so far? It especially because it didn't start from the beginning of this.
No, and I think that's the thing. Like I said, yeah, if you'd have had that through line of them watching Blade Runner, but then it's like it's tiny little bits, and then it goes full bore the last 20 minutes. I think if they'd have leaked it out throughout the course of those first 2 sections a little bit more, it wouldn't have felt so odd by the time you get to the end.
And you know what it proves again? They still just don't know what to do with Holly. They brought back Holly, and then we talked about how Holly was so underused to have him back for Series 8, and then. And granted, 10 years later, they may not have, I'm sure there was a real world explanation, but they
probably
couldn't. But it didn't matter, right? Other once they mentioned Holly's not there anymore, you don't even notice because Holly barely has been there.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm interested. Like obviously, so I'm assuming moving forward, Blake, you haven't seen any of these 10, 11, and 12. So I'm really looking forward to that. My memory of them is, like I say, I think I've maybe watched them once, maybe twice. So my memory of them is non-existent. I wonder if Holly comes back or not. I don't want to look. I'll probably go and watch the next 2 tomorrow, to be fair.
Yeah, I do kind of want to jump on. Yeah, the only thing I know about them is a friend of mine a long time ago reached out that I knew in school that also had gotten into Red Dwarf, like when I was young, when it first came out. And they had reached out to me when 10 or 11 had come out. Like, have you seen any of those new ones? They're like, it is a nice throwback to how they used to be.
Okay.
So... yeah, which, you can kind of see in this.
Yeah.
Although I would wager to bet by the time you get to series 10, 11, and 12, you have fans probably working on the show.
Probably.
Grew up with it now at this point. So
the only memory I have of the ones moving forward is Crichton's mech suit. Doesn't quite fit him as well as it did earlier on.
No, it doesn't. It does not quite.
No, I didn't realise that mechs could put weight on, but apparently they can.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lubricant.
Bless him.
Swelling.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Oh, are we done?
Yeah, I think we're done. That was a weird one, right?
It was. It was a weird one. It was a weird one in the middle of it because it's so far removed from everything else. It was always going to feel strange. I'm actually going to look up to see what the time span between this one and the next one is actually, just out of interest.
Oh, I don't think it's as far, but it's also not like right after it either, I don't think. I do think there's a slight little gap.
3.5 years.
Okay, yeah. So
okay, interesting.
Because that I believe, at least from the pictures I've seen from like when you're gonna get the next episode, looks like there's real sets and stuff, on there. So
which is good.
Yeah, they've actually built stuff.
That's probably why a lot of this felt a bit odd, because it doesn't feel like Red Dwarf because it doesn't look like Red Dwarf.
So, not to relitigate anything, or I guess it's just an observation, but so when they did Series 8, they rebuilt Red Dwarf, went through care in certain sections to make it look like the old Red Dwarf, but then showed you, and then did the excuse of the nanobots built this to its original specs, so it's a bit different looking.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, though, but it still felt like, okay, that could be kind of like the old Red Dwarf. We didn't see everything. Why make the choice when you're making digital sets to make this look so different than Red Dwarf?
I thought we were done. Apparently we're not. So I've just thought, because the reason at the end of episode 8 of Series 8, that chameleonic thing was eating Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
So Red Dwarf doesn't exist. So what's this?
Or it does, and then the nano... I mean...
Where does this Red Dwarf come from? Because the other one ceased to exist.
Or did the thing say they escaped the mirror universe? And so...
So it's the mirror universe's Red Dwarf we're in now.
Maybe, oh,
there's another can of worms to open. Let's cut it off there before we go down another rabbit hole entirely.
Our heads explode like Crichton will catch up with lobster.
Yes, exactly. But it's right. I never considered it. Just it doesn't make sense, and there's no explanation for it either. Anyway, before we go any deeper into this, that will end another episode of the podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Dwarf Memory for all show updates, because I'm not sure when the next episode's going to be coming out, because Blake, you are coming over here.
I am. I know I should have planned to come like next month for the Red Dwarf fan club or the convention. But I'm heading up to, I'll be heading to the UK this coming weekend.
Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see each other, but how long are you over here for?
This go around, I'm just here for 7 days. Okay. I've got family that's now moved out there. So we were looking at doing a longer trip, but then I think what we decided to do was to do, just do like a 7 day, like a week holiday, and then plan to come back up sooner.
You mean when the football season starts?
Well, I don't know. What are you talking about, Lee? I didn't plan that at all. Not at all. I was like, we should go up like during the festive season and see some of the holiday decorations and stuff if we're going to go up the summer now. And then plus, football will be happening.
I don't think that's necessarily the best time to go and watch football, mind you, when it's like -3 degrees and pouring down every day.
Well, fair enough. I may regret that completely. But yeah, I'm very excited to get out there.
We should be good for the next one then.
I know if I could have planned this better, we would have recorded this episode live.
That would have been awesome. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, like live and in person, but maybe it's better because this particular episode was like, what did we just watch?
Exactly.
All right. Well, please subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you can, and email us your comments on dwarfmemory@gmail.com.
Which we've had a few. We've had a few emails lately and a few messages and stuff. It's been really good.
And they're good. Like stuff like that, Stevenson, and we've gotten some really good comments and stuff in for the show. So I like this one and being able to actually talk about it on the actual show itself.
Yeah, well, I literally received that email this morning, so it worked perfectly. Awesome. Yeah, the next episode we will be discussing will be the first episode of Series 10, which will be Trojan. So make sure to watch before you join us for the next episode.
We didn't even mention Rimmer steals like 3 Trojan condoms, doesn't he, in this episode?
Yeah, from down the side of the couch.
Yeah, from the side of the couch. Yeah.
Anyway, he's a hard light hologram. I don't know how that works. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. So what's going to happen to everyone in the reality that we just left? the guys all watching us on TV.
Well, they'll continue to exist as a consequence of us creating them in our hallucination, sir. It's quantum mechanics. Every decision that's made creates a new universe, as do all dreams and hallucinations. It's Multiverse 101.
But those sad suckers will live out the rest of their lives convinced they're the real ones and we're the characters from a TV show.
And if you told them the truth, you know what they'd probably do? Laugh.
Yeah, they probably would.